Welcome to the Gabriola Theater Center. Welcome to Bearing Bloodlines. Welcome to the opening event for the Gabriola Arts Council's 16th Annual Isle of the Arts Festival 2026. My name is Chelsea Rushton. I'm the Program Manager for the Arts Council, and it's an honor to be here with all of you this evening and to open our festival with this event. So many beings, human and beyond, have made this event and this festival possible. First, I would like to express gratitude to the land that holds us here in this gathering and to its first peoples who have been tending it for generations. I thank Barbara and Tanis and Greg for bringing this offering to IOTA. It's such an honor to be working with you in this capacity. I extend my thanks to you, Dave. Thank you so much for being here with us. Your presence is an honor, truly. GAC is a co-sponsor of this screening, and I also extend thanks to its other sponsors, the Gabriola Museum, Studio M, and especially the Gabriola Theater Center, which has us all here this evening. At this time, I'd like to introduce the talkback panel and the collaborators of the film. Our moderator, Brenda Joy, and her husband, Mikhail, came to Gabriola 7 years ago from Ottawa. Presently, Brenda is president of the Gabriola Museum, the best little museum in the West. The film's director of photography and editor is Gregory Wendt. Gregory is a filmmaker, musician, artist, and photographer, originally from New York City, where he worked in the film industry in the 80s and 90s, who is now working independently and at Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, Illinois. Ritual performer Barbara Bickel. A descendant of German Lutheran missionaries and farmers, she is a collaborative visual and ritual performance artist who creates, writes, and teaches art as sacred inquiry from her home in Nanaimo. And finally, ritual performer Tanis Hugel. Of Celtic, French, and German descent, Tanis is a creator of sacred theater, a dance and movement therapist, drama therapist, and spiritual director. She teaches authentic movement and ecstatic body postures.
What an incredible film. Congratulations, Barbara, Tanis, and Gregory, and all the people that were involved with this film. I mean, you can tell from the credits, just an amazing journey. 8 years, I understand, in getting to the point where the film has been birthed tonight. And I'm wondering, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about tonight? Seeing your film up on a bigger screen after so many years of dedication and commitment. It's huge commitment. Barbara, how are you feeling?
Thank you all for coming in and witnessing this with us. And I have to say, I was brought to tears in the credits. And I think it's the last thing we did. And to me, that's like the community that's been with us. And yeah, so I just wanted to say that piece. I mean, that's how it feels. It's like I have a recognition of all that community that has allowed this work to come to us, to be birthed through us and gifted into the world. So yeah, I just want to say that this is the community. Yeah, thank you.
I think I'm kind of speechless, actually, because not only did the community of humans contribute to this film, the community of ancestors and all divine beings, and Gabriola and all the kin, as you saw, and the birds and the seals and the water and the rocks and the wind and the sky, all of that made this possible. Yeah. And I'd like to acknowledge Brenda, our moderator, for making it possible for us to make the film, for allowing us to do the shooting on the Gabriola Museum and then on the grounds in the forest, because that's where it was, in the forest. It was in the grounds behind the museum. And Brenda is the president of the board of the museum, and so she made it possible for us to work there.
An honor. Thank you.
Well, I feel pretty good, but it's more important how you feel. But I feel the reverence and the respect in the room, and a lot of gratitude for everyone who did participate, including down to getting this space and everything. And I didn't work on this for 8 years. I worked on it since September when we filmed, but they've been doing these invocations and working with ancestral healing for a very long time. I'm a newcomer. Honestly, I didn't really understand what we were doing until well into the editing process. And but I think I'm very moved by witnessing it here with you.
I know the audience, I'm sure, has lots of questions, but if you allow me one more. This has been such a collaboration, so many people, and, so many layers. I see the music, the singing, the photography, the sound effects, which are so stunningly beautiful, the cinematography, and of course, the visual performance of Barbara and Tanis. I'm just wondering, can you speak a little bit about, your process, or how you, and particularly I think the indications, how you prepare for that? What is your preparation?
Tanis is a teacher of authentic movement and also ecstatic trance posture work. And so for many years, we've known each other for more than 25 years, we shared.
We're not old. It's true.
So we've been doing these practices for many years, and we've done a few collaborations, and one that was a number of years ago, I think it was 2007, where we utilized authentic movement in the studio. And I'm not
Trance.
authentic movement and trance. And so this is another iteration of that, except in this one, Hannah said, let's invite our ancestors in through our bodies. We're one of the connections that Tanis and I have is really a belief that art is a healing practice and can lead us, to the sacred and to the healing. Yeah, so I'm totally losing my line of thought now too. But we worked together in the studios, and I wanted to say that I'm not a trained dancer, and working with Tanis and being in that authentic movement space has allowed me to really fully be in my body. And I also want to say that it was very difficult. One of the reasons this project has taken so long, we started off with wanting to work with our matriarchal, with our female ancestors. We didn't want to go near our male ancestors, but they showed up when we opened it. And so we had to work through a lot of resistances and a lot of fear and a lot of terror as to open up to these spaces. And then as we did that, we realized we needed more and more support. And so we reached out for more teachers and started studying around ancestral healing work to be able to support us in doing that. I'll end there and let you continue on.
Well, you were pretty, I don't know what really to add, except that we just, as I said before, we never knew who was going to come through us. And there were many, many stories that were told. Actually, many that were much more traumatic than the ones that you saw and witnessed in the movie. And so that was hard. That was actually really quite hard. But it was what we committed ourselves to doing. And because we believed, the studies that we did, we used Daniel Foer's book, Ancestral Healing, And it's the guidance that he gave us to go back in trance to find our well enough ancestors. And that, we had to go back thousands of years, really, to find our well enough ancestors. And so that's who you see here. And mine was half fairy and half human. And I'll have you speak to you as a and so they are the ones that did the healing down through the lineages, not us. We made space. We did ritual, and they're the ones that did the healing down through the last person who left the earth. And then it was through the reading of Resma Menachem's My Grandmother's Hands that we gained the understanding, the knowledge that each cultural group, in order to be able to be present in a good way with another cultural group, and he's talking about the white people and the BIPOC people in his book. And we mainly are focusing on white ancestor, settler ancestors and the indigenous peoples. But what he said, and this is what we believe and brought through the movie, was that we had to do our own healing with our own people before we can be present and whole in relationship to the indigenous people, to the other culture who we have wounded so profoundly. That's what I want. And so, I didn't want to say, I'm sorry, I overlooked Barbara's staff. Bring your staff forward, Barbara. Well, it's not in the movie. You can see this extraordinary piece of bark. It's like a 4-foot piece of bark. And Barbara's ancestry is Germanic. And those people are people of the forest. So water brought this bark to Barbara, and she used it for her staff.
I'd rather hear from the audience, hear from what they have to say or ask at this point. So we have our lovely assistant with the microphone. So any kind of response, question, comment would be lovely to hear.
Hi, I'm a friend of Barbara's, and Tannis has recently met Gregory. I'm really happy to have been here tonight and to have witnessed this profound spiritual, visual experience. And knowing a little bit about history, you talk about 7 or 8 years of evolution or processing, and then you end up at this setting, this beautiful seashore, and I guess I'm curious about how that informed what that ritual ended up being, because I guess that ritual had been building and growing and repeated over time, and then there you were in this incredible setting, and I'm just curious about how that did influence how that unfolded for you.
Initially, the piece was to be a theater piece, and we worked a lot, in relationship to that. And then we were going to do it in a church, and then we were going to do it, it was going to be a theater piece. But then Barbara had the idea of bringing the footage of the Barbara, so bringing some images of the ancestors on, on land. Then as it evolved, and again, Barbara felt that it should be in video, and so Barbara's going to speak to that.
I just want to say, Tannis has more of a theater and dance background, and I'm a visual artist, and I've also worked I've actually done other ancestral projects with my art where I've really worked with the land, where I'm living, trying to connect with my land and through learning from the ancestors, the lands that I've lived on. And so we've tried to birth this piece twice.
But we had COVID.
We had COVID and different health things and different pieces came in to halt it. It wasn't ready to be in the world, and we weren't ready to take it out into the world. And then last winter, this is how Greg came into the picture. Last winter, we didn't know whether we were gonna be able to carry it through or not. And so as we're doing this ancestral work, it's like, okay, go to your ancestors and see what they think. Like, how should you be doing this? And I had been going to Seisichin, doing a lot of healing work there. And I basically had a powerful experience there. And I was like, okay, I want to actually make a film of this experience. And my ancestors told me that I needed to finish this healing piece, that I needed to do that. And I'm speaking about Seisichin as a foster island for me, but it's actually been a caretaker for me coming to Nanaimo, to Nanaimo. And so I invited Greg. I said, would you want to come out here and film this for me? And he did. And then when we did that, I was like, you know what? Both Tanis and my ancestors want to be outside. They did not want to be in a black box. They're ending up in a black box, you know, here with the screenings, but they didn't really want to be in the black box. And then we visited Gabriola, and it was like, we saw a drum bag. And it was like, with a tide out, that's a stage. And then we came and visited with, Tanis was here one day, and we were looking, where might we do this in the forest? And we stopped at the museum, which I hadn't been to, and I think it was Carol Weaver that told us that there was a beautiful forest back there that are cared for by the Nanaimo elders, Geraldine and Earl. And so we went, and Brenda said, sure, I'll check in with
It just happened that Brenda was in the office. This was on the weekend, and Barbara and I were walking around the forest and thinking, this is it. This is what we have to do. This is it. And then we go, well, we have to ask permission. And so we went into the museum, and Brenda just happened to be there, and the rest is, you know.
In a record amount of time, she got permission from her board. She got permission from Geraldine and Earl. And yeah, because we were going to be filming, I think, 5 days later. So she did it in record speed. So that's kind of, how we ended up here in this beautiful, beautiful scene, which is really the characters in the film. Yeah.
But I also want to say that the basic structure is pretty much the same as it has always been. Although it is evolved in a actually much richer way, but the basic structure is what it always has been.
I just want to add, I've always loved, locations have always inspired me, so stepping onto Drumbeg was totally amazing, and I was like, oh, yeah, we've got to film here. And then the weather cooperated with the blue skies, which was stunning. And then, believe it or not, kind of the magic of filmmaking, all those wood scenes are literally right behind the museum in maybe 50 square meters, you know, but it looks like it could be anywhere deep in the woods, right? So, thanks, and you've been so supportive of that right away.
Thank you very much for opening this up and birthing it. I had a kind of funny question. So, was that 2 otters mating at the end of the, because, I mean, I was like, I thought it was very apropos for the otters, because that just was very representative of the generations going forward. But I just wanted to clarify that. Were the otters mating, or were they just otters? Like, what was that?
I think it was just one. You filmed.
Was it just one?
I think it was just one.
There were a few of them. I mean, maybe you saw something that we.
I don't know. To me, I was like, I was just like, you might have heard me laugh, because I was like, are those otters mating? Like, I couldn't see. So I just wanted to clarify.
Those 2 otters were around a lot.
Oh, yeah, they live down there. So,
Are there other
It's a mystery, we don't know.
So the stories that you did, Barbara, you did a story about her grandmother, and then the angry mother, and you did the child losing the child. Now, are those real stories in your ancestries, or?
You know, all I know is that these ancestors showed up. I mean, what happened is that when we opened up to receive the ancestor, we had no idea who was going to come through our bodies. No idea what was going to happen. Not the remotest notion. So whoever showed up was who showed up. And so I would say that, you know, for all we know, those stories are true. But there's no way to know them, you know what I mean?
Thank you.
My question's about the puppets. Can you explain how these puppets came to be, who created them, and just a little bit more about them?
And it's about 4 or 5 years ago, and I think it was,
Was it after COVID?
yeah, because we had moved here, we made them here.
That's
And I've been
right,
here
yeah.
5 years.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So yeah, so it's 5 years ago that the puppets entered the scene. And again, it was a piece of us building our ancestral support. And Tanis had performed with giant puppets before. Or
I'll
giant,
tell them.
yeah, so she was like, I think we need to do these giant puppets. And I'm like, I've never made a giant puppet before.
Even though she's made puppets,
No, I've made masks. So, so we made them up. So we made them. I kind of came up with the idea of the structure, which is very simple, and then we created them. And so we got to make art together and create them. And it took quite a number of months.
It was hard, yeah.
Yeah,
a
a
while.
number of months
People were sharing.
to make them. So.
Yeah, that her face is off my face. And then I have this image, that's rock that her face is coming out of. Yeah. Where the idea came for me was my very first piece, my very first dance piece, way back in 1974, was called Not Named. And that was made by, I took those wake form hats, forms. I put that on a broomstick and sewed a whole lot of fabric and put that around it, and that was the first iteration of that kind of a structure. So she became very high. You know, she took different heights, and that was where that idea came from.
Greg, I would like to just also like Greg maybe to speak a little bit about I just want to acknowledge Greg helping us because Greg's been our midwife. And helped us bring this into being, and it is an amazing witness, and someone who can be with us in this witnessing process. And I just want to, just great gratitude to Greg for bringing this into the world with us.
And I want to also say, even though you say you didn't know what was going on until well into the editing process, honest to God, for somebody who didn't know what was going on, you certainly knew on some level what was going on when you shot it. I mean, really, because you knew, you were holding us in a really incredible way.
Alhamdulillah, as they say in my tradition, all praises to God. I mean, I just tried to cover it as well as I could with the skills that I've had and to, intuited what was happening. But, and I guess when you let go into it, magic sometimes happens. And then there was a lot of wrestling involved in the editing process. It's anytime I do a project, it's kind of like wrestling with a wild animal until it's finally maybe something that turns out okay. And but the meticulous nature and feedback, because I was doing the bulk of the editing, but we were a lot of communication, and they all had massive contributions. And also in our audience, I just wanted to thank Weaver's incredible music. Really set that music really helps me get something going in that opening scene and the closing scene. The music just created this dreamlike space, and then Odette helping with the puppets, Michael, Barbara's partner, Janice is here who helped out, and Diane also helped our puppeteers. So I think just the energy that this was meant to happen, everyone just got behind it even till this moment now. So it's just that this is what was birthed. I hope it was meaningful for you. I'd love to even hear if anyone had trouble or didn't understand, or I would love to hear any kind of, because this is really, we've shown it to a few people who are in the small group, but I would love to hear if anyone was confused at all or had any problem with it. Always open to learning more. So Yes, thank you. And of course, how could I not, I forgot to thank David.
Chelsea's
His wonderful blessing and the support of the blessing to do the work and then the blessing today.
Thank you. I think it was really important to start with that, having the sound. It really already set us in that space and preparing us to have an open mind at what I felt for it. And I think that was a really important part to start with, bringing us to that space. So thank you.
And while we're on the sound piece, I want to acknowledge my brother at the back, who has really helped with a lot of the sound work, and I was on a huge learning curve with the sound editing, so I just want to acknowledge my brother Richard Bickle back there.
Yes.
And can the puppeteers wave? I mean, not only puppeteers, there are like production assistants as well. All amazing.
Just how incredibly beautiful it was and moving. One thing that really struck me, having done trans work, is there must have been a huge level of safety between you all to be able to hold that while being filmed. And I just wanted to acknowledge, that wasn't broken. We could feel your intentionality around that, and the weight of it all was translated through film, with the layers, with the ancestors standing over. I thought that was a really beautiful way of bringing it all together, with them coming in and out as spirit does. And I thought that was really, really incredible. And the whole thing together with the music and the incredible visuals and the silkies, of course, were the things that you couldn't have planned, but you were gifted. So thank you for all the work, and it definitely was translated.
Thank you.
I too thought it was extremely beautifully done, and from a cinematography point of view, the gift you brought to be able to realize the depth of commitment of these two women, and your really, really beautiful editing, so that everything wove together and evoked this quest for cleansing and healing and forgiveness. It was beautiful. I have one small technical question. You mentioned, Tanis, a book. I think you said My Grandmother's Hands.
Yes.
About the importance of the settler population healing, doing their own healing work,
Yes.
if they're going to have any hope for
Yes.
healing the relationship with the people that the colonials wounded. Could you repeat the name of the book and the author?
Resma Menachem, he's an African-American trauma therapist, and he's addressing the BIPOC community, the white, which he calls the white supremacist body, and then the third community that he's addressing is the community of the armed enforcers, whoever they might be, soldiers, police, guards, whatever, those three communities. And that's what he says, that each of those communities have to do their own healing in order to be present with the other community. And he also says it needs to be somatic, that is body-oriented healing, not talk healing, but body-oriented healing.
Please stay, because we got good food, and thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Nene. Stop friend Nene.